Hey guys, this is Rurouni K95 here. Today's anime review, we get to cover an two-episode anime OVA for today's anime review is All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club is based on the Japanese sports manga of the same name by Hiroyuki Asada as well, from which has from 19 only run about 14 volumes from 1995 until 2004, which is from the 90s all the way to the early 2000s as well. That is the question, though. And yet, this anime, it's also adapted as a two-episode anime OVA directed by Itsuro Kawasaki. Yeah, the runtime is basically runs about every 30 minutes on each two episodes of this particular anime, like All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, particularly for this anime. Yeah, because that is this thing. The real thing is that is this a lot more dissimilar to any other basketball anime like Slam Dunk, probably, if it had a lot to do in the same meaning of how for this particular thing these days. So, for the plot about All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, it's about Akane Tachibana and Hitonari Hiragi, who are the two former basketball rivals forced to cooperate when Hitonari is transferred to Akane's school in order to play on its basketball team. However, Hitonari's parents are expected better things for their son and hope to move him to an even better team, threatening to turn them into rivals once more. Yeah, this is probably in the same, probably of how of this particular basketball anime, which is when Slam Dunk and Hoop Days were particularly the new and more popular anime. Yes, this anime OVA series is a two-episode OVA as well, and it's only run about 30 minutes, which is not that long. Yeah. It wasn't that easy that it wasn't very long, as it's supposed to intended to be a longer two-episode OVA of how it's intended. Okay, that's the thing of how. Try giving in the point, probably. And yes, these basketball rivals, probably in All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, had the thing to do. When he was trying to get the score, probably when he was in the basketball team in school, probably for this particular OVA series, like All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, probably. I mean, somehow yet of how this figured out of this anime is probably of how for what they were going as well. Yeah. So, yeah, this OVA series is probably based on a 14-volume manga by Hiroyuki Asada, which has run for 9 years until 2004, probably, because that's what 14-volume mangas are for, probably. Especially for All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, which it has a lot to do probably for this particular series. Yeah, that's probably the thing for this is basically like a short-lived anime OVA because I thought this was supposed to tend to be like a 13 episode OVA, but it didn't turn out exactly well, probably in my opinion. So instead, they made it like a 2 episode OVA series, which is very short-lived, probably. But that's just how it is as well. In the same matter of fact as well. By all this means is that for a particular thing, what All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club had a lot to do for this particular anime as well. I mean, it was a bit misleading from what I know. If it's basically as intended as like a pilot episode, but it didn't get picked up. So they basically threw it out as a OVA because of how you would think after that first episode of explaining about how Hitonari was with the team before and explaining why he left. And all of that would lead up to him actually leaving the team, maybe mid-season, in the so to speak. And the way both the teams now practice to beat each other but that's probably of how exec is given in the thing. Probably that's pretty much how basketball rivals were probably than any other anime because this is basically more short-lived than Slam Dunk. Ironically, Slam Dunk is probably the more popular one, but All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, on the other hand, however, this is very short-lived indeed. I didn't know why if it was short if it this was supposed to intended to be like a 13 or 14 episode or 12 episode OVA, but it didn't turn out exactly as intended because just because it's adapted from the 14 volume manga, just because so instead so they wanted to use it like a 2 episode OVA just to begin with as well. Yeah, that's probably of how you would have go know what they were going. So that's probably of how the story plot at. So that's probably how the story goes for probably All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. The animation, however, it looks very well drawn, particularly in a certain way. I mean, the animation kind of reminds me of almost like any other anime out there, like a little bit of Wolf's Rain style like animation or any anime like how this quality of this animation goes for this particular anime like Wolf's Rain style in these days. I mean, compared to any other animes like the mainstream ones, which it didn't exactly of how. So instead, they started to use like in the older style Japanese anime style animation, what they had in the early 2000s way in these days, which especially what All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club had a lot to do when it comes to explaining about the animation and the quality, probably by using frame on every shot of every frame for this particular anime, like All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. But that's just how it is as well, particularly as how it's very unique in its particular way as well. And the sound, however, the English voice actors, they were probably only in the English dub. It's probably when it was first released on DVD by Anime Works, Media Blaster's sub-label for anime. Yep, because that's just how it is as well. I mean, nothing was done poorly, especially for either the sound or the animation in general. I mean, there's not any of the characters as well. Yeah, because that's probably of how of how to expect to see about the characters in All Crazy Koza Basketball Club had a lot to do, particularly living up to the similar things of how the characters go. I mean, the girls always make up the team's fan club, which is almost like a terrible representation of a starstruck high school girls who wanted to just be the superstar. Probably of how to expect to see what's going on in this particular 2 episode OVA anime like All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, or IL/CKBC for short, probably in its own little acronym way as well. Yeah, because Akane was supposed to be like a good person, but just seems like a bully when he doesn't get the way he wanted to intended as well. The other players on the other team, on the other hand, has no screen time, and when they do for to shout out a terrible catchphrase, probably of how in the most shocking way, particularly. But yeah, for its own little potential for basketball type anime, like All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, particularly, than any other anime out there so far, basically. There was basically of how they don't use for 13 episodes or 12 episodes for for an anime OVA like this particular sort of turn of event type of thing of the way in these days as well as how you expect for All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. As so far, most of them. Yeah, because the first episode is basically known as Standing Cross Road as well. But for the second episode of All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, It's under the title Primitive Rude Flowers, probably. However, according to how explained for this particular anime, like this in its own meaning turn of event. But in the end of the episode of All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club, of how to expect as well. Yeah, that's probably just how it is. But how to given the point probably of how it's given in something what's going on probably as well. Yeah, just how they were watching the fireworks, and that's how basically you end episode 2 with the epilogue, as well as this was supposed to tended to be like a 12 episode anime OVA, but instead they ended with fireworks on the final episode, which is episode 2 in All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. That's probably of how the ending goes, as how this progresses, of how it flows, probably in particular in its own, probably for the most thing is that, so they had to use it. So it's basically how these moments go forever in All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. It's probably on the beach, probably, of how you expect. But overall, this is a different, almost alright anime OVA, what All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club is. Because this anime OVA is just how it is, what it is. It's like you're living up to Proceed. I think probably is that All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club came after Slam Dunk, which Slam Dunk is probably the more popular one in general, probably in its own little turn of event sort of thing, probably, of how if you want to watch a basketball anime OVA, what's come to mind probably? Chances there is All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. Otherwise, you're going to be sticking with notable titles that are the more popular basketball anime, such as Kuro's Basketball Club and Slam Dunk as well. Which are ironically, those two are the more popular. It may not be it may not be the best, but it's the other two that are more popular that you might I watch as well, as part of the notable titles as well. But that's just probably how it is as well. And yes, All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club was first released on DVD by Anime Works Media Blaster sub-label for anime. Yeah, that's probably how it's gotten an English dub, of how this particularly how to, and this also how it progresses, of how these two episodes go, but because it has the story and the animation and the sound quality, as well as the animation in general, probably, of what can you get when you have a 30-minute 2-episode OVA anime like All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club. If you want to watch other better basketball anime, there's Slam Dunk and Kuro Basketball, but All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club is all right in my opinion, because that's just so overall I'm going to give this anime a 4 out of 5. Because I find this okay in my opinion as well. So that's going to be it for my anime review on All Crazy Kozu Basketball Club for today's anime review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's my thoughts on this. When I first watched this, I didn't realize that this was based on a 14-volume manga, but instead they wanted to end it to be like a 12-episode OVA, but instead they used 2 episodes to have how it was short-lived always. But that's just how it is. Hope subscribe for content. My anime plan link in the description down below. You can share this video on your Twitter, Facebook if you have a Twitter, Facebook account, on all social media. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking on the like button on this video. Smacking the like button if you enjoyed this video as well. Be sure to leave in the comments in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel, especially if you're new to my channel. Hit the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified as well. And that's all I've got to say. So keep it otaku for this anime review, because I had to explain about the 2-episode OVA of this particular anime. I mean, there's other notable popular basketball anime like Slam Dunk and Kuro Basketball as well. And I got another anime review coming up next, what we have for what's in store today. Stay tuned for my next anime review. I got another anime based on the story by Rudyard Kipling for tomorrow's anime review on The Jungle Book, Shonen Moogly. Stay tuned for my next anime review on The Jungle Book, Shonen Moogly, because you won't want to miss another anime review.